Precisely. We find slices to meet the bigger target.
First of all, I don't think we should look at the big picture in a way that will make it difficult for us at the end of the day to get what we want. There are various ways, as we say at home, of skinning cats. And we also have to look at the track record. Number one, if you look at a lot of the major initiatives that have been taken over the years, in Africa we've had our share of those initiatives, from Lagos Plan of Action until the new one we have right now is called what? The amounts of monies that are usually, for example, even pledged to be paid. If you look at the record, you see that literally every 3 to 4 years, nothing has been done. There are various ways of making statements that at the end of the day, they will say that we are recycling the amounts that have been allocated to you, and those funds never come. My worry, and that's the reason why I said that I've been thinking very seriously, my worry is that if we go in with the big monies, which we shouldn't lose sight of, and I agree with you 100%, that is probably not such a huge amount of money, but in reality, pragmatically, it is big. It is not small. And so, let us package things in such a way that they are measurable, they are easy to digest. Let the developed world also know that it's also in their own best interest to put monies in these areas that we've all discussed, and you've got so much literature around here to cover it. If we go that route, our chances are that if we are successful in the first go around, we could get other monies to ride on the back of the successes so that we can move forward. Right now, we have a short-term problem on our hands, that is Copenhagen. It's just around the corner. And then we've got the long haul, how we're going to ensure that the livelihood security of the vulnerable is taken care of. And of course, the future generations. On the short term, I'm not sure right now whether I'm very comfortable with what we're going to present in Copenhagen to entice those who can really put money on the table to perform. If we go with the big numbers, which we shouldn't lose sight of, and I keep repeating, because at the end of the day, if I have to clean this table and I need $1 to clean it, and you give me 5 cents, I cannot clean it. And this has been the pattern with respect to a lot of these initiatives. The funds that they put on the table is not enough to do anything. And yet, but if we say that, okay, we know we have this table, but we want to clean this section first, it will cost so much. The chances are that we might get there.
Okay, thank you. And I think, Jules, you want to come in, then we'll come to you.
Yeah, I want to point out the challenge of getting commitments to really be lived up to. The point that you made, Eddie. Multiple commitments over and over again on the Millennium Development Goals, and the developed countries falling short on delivering. But the reality is that part of the problem is what Loren pointed out, namely that the developed world has an understandable concern about the effectiveness of some of their investments. And there where transaction cost, even corruption, has in the past made developed countries hesitant about putting the money on the table. We now have to find a mechanism to get this money on the table in such a way that developed countries have confidence it is going to result in the adaptation and it is going to result in the mitigation. And in order to do that, I come back to the concept of these low-carbon development plans. Because then there is something on the table from a country like Ghana or Bangladesh or the Philippines that says, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do. We have looked at the situation in our country and we need dikes and we need seeds and we want to work on our forestry and we can contribute a little bit with renewable energy, and therefore this is the technology we need. And this is the money that we need. And here is our plan. And we own this plan. This is our plan. We're committed to this plan. But in return, developed world, the conditionality goes the other way around this time. In return, you're going to have to provide us with money. And you can hold us to account for delivering this plan, because it's our plan, but you're going to have to hold us account to a plan that you have to pay for. And I think that concept of taking ownership of your development with a mechanism that is fundable, but that is measurable, reportable, and verifiable, I think could be a mechanism to break through the deadlock also of getting a little bit of money on the table early on.
Because it's arguably more palatable to treasurers in the developed world. Yeah, okay, thank you. You've been waiting very patiently, sir.
I'm Anthony Hill, and I'll use the descriptive to say that I've been in the multilateral system for over 40 years. And what I've heard this morning is quite discouraging. What the multilateral system has managed to do for Copenhagen is to mobilize a consensus on science that if there is not a stabilization of emissions and the stock of greenhouse gases is not held above a certain level, then we are potentially in a catastrophic situation in which North and South disappears. We are in a global situation. And we are using the old concepts. We talk about donor accountability or making it palatable to donors to give money. Incremental money will not solve the problem. What I think our colleague, the first speaker, said is really the revolution that is happening in certain countries. In the United States, there is the incipient revolution of Mr. Obama's green economy, which is to re-engineer the economy to sever the connection between growth and carbon. We cannot sever population from growth. We all need growth. The Chinese are doing it in their green jobs. We are, in fact, going to Copenhagen with national climate change adaptation plans as a consequence of the convention. But at the same time, I have heard in the various rooms in which I have been participating or listening, a sense of déjà vu. We will go there and we will have perhaps a little fix and we will go on talking, etc. And that may be the best we can do in the circumstance. I prefer the approach which says, here we are, and this is what the science tells us. What I've heard from Senator Legarda in another occasion is different from what I hear today. That is, we must link disaster reduction, which is adaptation, with climate change action, which is also adaptation and mitigation. What I've heard from Mr. Hack is that we went that route in an innovative way with adaptation and mitigation. But I've also heard that adaptation is now going to be a subsidiary body in Copenhagen. I hear so many contradictory things that I'm in no doubt that what the consensus is that we are headed towards a less than even halfway decent outcome, because the people who are negotiating in Copenhagen do not work on the paradigm of interdependence in a genuine way. And in this same room, Professor Barber set it out very clearly.